Caitlin Clark scored or assisted on 54 Fever points, the 9th time in 45 career games, the only player in WNBA history.
Her presence transformed the Indiana Fever from a struggling franchise into must-watch television overnight. And in the 2024 season, she was being frozen out of her own offense, not occasionally, not in isolated moments that every team produces across a long season, consistently, repeatedly, with a pattern so clear that fans were counting dribbles. 14, 13.12, and documenting possessions where Clark ran off-ball actions and received nothing in return. The player holding the ball during those possessions is Kelsey Mitchell. The film has been watched. The evidence is overwhelming, and this conversation is long overdue.
She finished with a career-high 35 points as the Fever going to win 110-109. And
defender being close to the corner means she is far from the paint. That gap in the paint is where a driver scores. That drive collapsing the defense is what creates the kick-out pass. That kick-out pass is what produces the open three that everything connects. Everything depends on everything else working together. Now remove the threat. Tell that corner shooter, through actions rather than words, through possessions rather than meetings, that the ball is never coming to her. What happens? She stops cutting with urgency. She stops fighting for position. She stops burning energy on off-ball movement because months of experience have taught her that the effort produces nothing. The defender guarding her reads this, defenders always read this, and starts helping on drives. The paint closes.
Fever star Kelsey Mitchell has been named to the Associated Press All-WNBA First Team for the first time in her career.
A veteran who has earned her place in this league. And in the 2024 season, the single biggest structural obstacle between Caitlin Clark and the offense she is genuinely capable of running. This is not a character judgment. It is a basketball judgment. Mitchell's ability to create her own shot and put the ball in the basket is real and documented over multiple seasons. But talent and compatibility are two entirely separate questions that a player can be genuinely skilled and simultaneously represent a style mismatch so significant that her presence suppresses the production of a generational.
Indiana won 90-82 behind 22 points from Caitlin Clark. She played that game after missing a game with back soreness.
Were among the highest in the league for a player at her position. Her actual assist totals were frequently lower than those opportunities suggested they should be. The gap between what she was capable of producing and what she actually produced was not a reflection of Clark's talent or her effort. It was a reflection of how often the ball found her, and the film shows exactly who was holding it instead. When the ball was not finding Clark, it was finding Kelsey Mitchell. And what Mitchell was doing with it was eliminating offensive advantages that the Fever needed possession. By possession in a pattern that ran the entire length of the season when one possession becomes. Numbers without context are easy to dismiss. One ball dominant possession happens at every level on every night. One poor shot clock decision is just basketball. One dribble drive turnover is something every guard in the league produces at some point in a long season. The film only becomes damning when the pattern repeats with such consistency that randomness can no longer serve as an
Caitlin Clark has become a national phenom, and some fans say they went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
Numbers without context are easy to dismiss. One ball dominant possession happens at every level on every night. One poor shot clock decision is just basketball. One dribble drive turnover is something every guard in the league produces at some point in a long season. The film only becomes damning when the pattern repeats with such consistency that randomness can no longer serve as an explanation. When the same decisions appear in the first quarter and the fourth quarter, in wins and in losses, in close games and blowouts against the league's best defenses and its most vulnerable ones. What the film from the 2024 Fever season shows is not isolated.
Support translated to a sold-out arena. Support translated to a sold-out arena.
I've never been to the arena in a sellout crowd with Chicago's guys, so this will be my first time.
And circulated across every major platform within hours of the game ending. The ball arrived in Mitchell's hands with the full 24-second shot clock available, enough time to run a complete offensive action, find a quality look, and score. What happened instead was 14 dribbles, counted, time-stamped, shared by fans who had spent An entire season learning to watch for exactly this pattern. 14 dribbles that produced not a quality shot generated through skill and decision-making, but a contested attempt over a former league most valuable player who had not moved from her defensive position because nothing in the preceding 22 seconds had required her to move. The shot did not go in, and Caitlin Clark, who had spent those 14 dribbles cutting to the block,
off a career best contract with Mitchell. She helped guide the franchise to its first playoff appearance since 2016. To its first playoff appearance since 2016.
That generated over 40 million social media impressions across platforms and became one of the most closely analyzed regular season WNBA games in recent memory. Clark ran 3 separate off-ball actions inside 30 seconds, a curl off a screen at the elbow, a back cut when her defender cheated toward the ball, a corner relocation to maintain offensive spacing. All 3 produced nothing. The ball remained with Mitchell. Throughout every action, the defender who had been working to chase Clark through those movements eventually stopped committing to the chase because the accumulated evidence of that game had delivered its lesson clearly. The ball was not going to Clark's side of the floor. There was no reason to defend, as if it might. The transition game delivered the same message in a different format. The Fever's roster had real athletes capable of pushing pace effectively. Clark in transition is a weapon. Her decision-making in the open court is elite. Her ability to read developing play and find the right pass, and immediately put her head down with personal scoring as the primary objective. The cutting Clark on the wing bypassed, the trailing shooters ignored, the transition advantage that the defensive stop had created evaporated into a contested drive. The player who ran the floor to fill her lane did not receive the ball. She learned from that. She did not run quite as hard the next time, and the Fever's transition offense became slightly less dangerous with each